Good morning. I would like to thank Senator Casey and everyone here for having us today. My name is Angela. This is my son Jack and his sister Morgan. Jack is 14 years old. He loves his family, he loves his dog and his school. He enjoys playing outside, watching Jeopardy, and is always the life of parties. Jack has cerebral palsy. He uses a wheelchair and a walker. He has a seizure disorder along with learning and behavioral difficulties. Disability can happen to anybody at any time. We weren't special when this happened to us. My family life started as so many others do. I met my husband in college. We married in our early 20s and found out we were expecting a baby. My pregnancy was completely normal and uneventful. I carefully followed doctor's orders, read all of the books, but nothing prepared us when Jack was born unexpectedly, almost 4 months too soon. Jack was born at 25 weeks gestation. He was a micro-preemie, weighing less than 2 pounds. At birth, he suffered a massive brain bleed and spent 4 months in the neonatal intensive care unit at Hershey Medical Center. He required neurosurgery to drain the excess fluid in his brain, and he also has a shunt as well. He needed a ventilator to breathe, constant monitoring, and was fed through a tube. We were told he wouldn't survive. Those days turned into weeks, and we saw this scrappy little guy grow and develop right before our eyes. He reached a point when he was strong enough to breathe on his own, requiring only oxygen, and he slowly learned to bottle feed and gained weight at a record pace. We were able to finally bring him home after 4 months in intensive care. We juggled life with a new baby at home, one which required around-the-clock care. He required oxygen, tube feeds, and monitoring for heart rate and apnea. He had reflux so badly that he could not sleep anywhere but upright. We had to hold him 24/7, all while tethered to 7 feet of tubes and wires. My maternity leave had long since ended, and we made the decision for me to stay at home with Jack full-time while my husband continued to work full-time. We went from 2 incomes to 1, which was never really a part of our plan. We had learned at one of Jack's follow-up visits with his doctor that he would qualify for medical assistance. We have always carried and continue to carry health insurance through my husband's employer. We filled out the required paperwork for medical assistance, and after several months, we were approved. At the same time, we were also referred to our county's MHIDEI department for early intervention services, a program they called Birth to 3, which is a free service for families billed to medical assistance. For the next 3 years, we met weekly with a physical therapist who taught Jack how to sit up, to roll over, and to eventually walk with a walker in the comfort of our own home. We met with an occupational therapist who helped us teach Jack to use his hands, to tolerate new foods, and to learn self-care. The therapists were full of information. They were there for us when Jack was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. They taught me how to be a better advocate for Jack. When Jack turned 3, he started attending preschool at the DDS Learning Center. He began learning so many new things and new friends, all while continuing to receive his MA-funded therapies at school. It was around this time that Jack demonstrated a lot of behavioral challenges, tantrums and meltdowns that would last for hours. Our bright and sunny, happy guy was struggling daily, and so were we. Our neurologist referred us to Philhaven, to the BHRS department, and we began MA-funded behavioral therapy with Jack. And with a lot of hard work and a lot of long hours, we began to reach Jack. We saw these amazing coping skills start to emerge. Him sitting here right now wouldn't have happened just a few short years ago. He's come so far behaviorally with the help of these therapies. At age 5, he entered the public school system, and with support from the Cornwall-Lebanon School District and the IU-13, Jack is able to grow at his pace, receiving physical, speech, occupational, and behavioral therapies within the school setting. He will continue attending school until the age of 21. He just turned 14 this year, and last week we already met with Lebanon County's MHIDEI department to begin the process for transition into adulthood. You know, it's hard to think about, he's 14, you know. Medical assistance covers a multitude of therapies. His durable medical equipment, like his wheelchair, his walker, his leg braces, co-pays for prescriptions, co-pays for doctor's visits. Again, like the others said, primary insurance will pay for hospitalizations, but our secondary, the medical assistance, picks up where that leaves off for hospitalizations and surgeries. Behavioral services alone, when I see the explanation of benefits come down and I see what that would cost if we didn't have our secondary as medical assistance, we wouldn't be as far as we are, both medically and behaviorally for Jack. It covers behavioral services and supplies. Jack requires briefs, diapers, and at times when he's low on weight, it covers liquid nutrition, Pediasure or Ensure, to help meet his calorie needs. The education and help and guidance received due to funding is invaluable. We have watched him grow into a funny, smart, and determined kid, and I can't imagine not being able to support him in our home, school, and community. It leaves me with a sense of bewilderment and fear when I imagine funding going away. By the time the proposed cuts on funding would be fully realized, it would affect Jack at what I consider an extremely vulnerable time, aging out of the pediatric system into adulthood, you know, no longer maybe eligible to be carried on our primary insurance. I think it would have a really devastating snowball effect. I envision caring for Jack in our home and community for as long as I'm around. And I've always considered programs funded through MA as a vital part of his future. We have watched everybody, therapists, teachers, doctors, specialists, surgeons, social workers, school personnel, and others champion around him and our family to help him become the amazing person that he is, and for that we are forever grateful. Thank you.
Angela, thanks so much for your testimony. As I said before, it helps us a lot to make this argument. It's always easy when you're debating public policy to dismiss data or policy or even a really good chart. It's exceedingly difficult, if not impossible, to dismiss a child, a human being. So you're helping us make an important argument.